of E. Horner and Associates, Ted Horner, to please join me on stage and say a few words about this year's Hall of Fame inductee. Ted Horner.
Thank you very much. It's with great pleasure that I welcome Fraser to the new club. As a fellow Australian, I'm very proud as well, not only for his achievements, but the fact that he was actually born in Australia, albeit he spent a lot of time overseas. He grew up on a farm in South Australia, and his journey started early in life, started at a radio station in Adelaide, but then he undertook an academic career. And when you understand his achievements, you'll understand as well that with a Bachelor of Science from the University of Adelaide, a Bachelor of Engineering from the University of New South Wales, a Master in Science from Stanford University, and a PhD from Stanford University, you understand and get some appreciation of his achievements. More than 20 years ago, he started with the Peninsula Hotel Group, and fortunately for him, he was placed in charge of a research laboratory of which he's grown to a team of 20 individuals. But in that laboratory, he has been a forefront of creating technology. And over the years, he's built and designed systems at the Hong Kong Hotel Peninsula, Beijing, Beverly Hills, Chicago, New York, Tokyo more recently. He's always, in my opinion, been ahead of his time. He's set benchmarks for others to follow. And if you want to have an understanding of technology, particularly in the guest room, go visit a Peninsula Hotel. More recently, he's got involved in the High Tech Advisory Board. He's a director of HTNG, and he's also been heavily involved in lecturing and other pursuits in China. More recently, well, say it's about 7 or 8 years ago, he was interviewed on the BBC. And at the end, and if you understand the gentleman, and you've seen the Bond films, he could well be described as a hotel version of Q. More recently, he also was interviewed on CNN by Richard Quest. And funnily enough, one of the things that came out of his recent hotel that he opened, he was involved with in Tokyo, was he came up with an idea that was actually low-tech, but probably generated as much publicity. He was in their property in Chicago, and he saw a woman coming into the lift trying to wave her hands, and she said to keep away, she was trying to dry her nails. And in the pursuit of technology in the Peninsula Group, they've encouraged to create new things. So a light went on in Fraser's head, and needless to say, at the Peninsula in Tokyo, probably maybe the first hotel in the world that has a low-tech solution, around about $20, where ladies can actually press a little button in the bathroom and blow warm air on their nails. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, please welcome to the stage Fraser Hickok.
I've looked at myself in a new light after that. Being the first Asian recipient, and I consider myself an Asian because that's where I live, of this award is in itself quite an honour. But to be selected by my peers at a time that I'm handing over the control of the lab to my friend of 25 years, Ingvar Herland, is very, very special. I'd like to thank HFTP and Frank Wolf and his committee for considering me, and also those that supported me, and I was really impressed with the number of people that offered. It would be remiss of me not to express my deep gratitude to the Peninsula Group Chairman, the Honourable Sir Michael Kaduri. It was Michael who 22 years ago recognised the need to enhance the guest room technology by providing me with an open brief and basically an open checkbook to go out and do something and build something different for the hotel, take it to the next step. And over that 22 years, he's continued to provide tenacious and passionate support to the point that his wife has to go and try everything, and his mother, who is 92 years old, gets dragged out periodically to press buttons and see how they function. It's an interesting experience trying to build user interfaces for 92-year-olds. It was done, his support was against quite a bit of opposition, both in the company and outside of the company, who said he was crazy, it was too much frivolity, nobody wants it. I think nowadays we've proven the contrary. I've also been in the enviable position of being told I'm not spending enough rather than spending too much. That's very unusual for an engineer. But it's, as all efforts, endeavours and results, it's not just my effort, it's a team. And I've had a band of 20 engineers, young Chinese, who are very talented and very educated, and who are tenacious enough to pursue a quest. And they've really done all the work. All I've done is wander around, waving my hands and giving them more ideas and never being quite satisfied. We're very much a family in the lab, and we jointly share the wins as we do the errors, and we've made a few of them too. 22 years ago, in the absence of any real guest room technology, we built stuff, lots of it. Some I'm very proud of, and some I wish would oxidise or evaporate or disappear as sitting in some storeroom. It's been innovative and it's created enormous interest. And just as an aside, one of our competitors who discreetly checked in the room without us supposedly knowing about went there to have a look at how we're doing things, so we sent him up a screwdriver so he wouldn't damage our equipment. Walking around the exhibition space, this has changed considerably. And I have to salute HTNG's tremendous efforts through their work groups and certification process, and the efforts of HFTP in providing a forum through high-tech for the exposure of these end results. It's quite gratifying to see how people are taking it. For this activity to continue, both organisations need continuing support and involvement, which will result in even greater opportunities. Hoteliers must participate. We must have your participation in HTNG and HFTP for this to go on. The vendors really appreciate the input, but they really need the hotelier to be providing their thoughts at the same time. And just to this point, some years ago we installed a video-on-demand system in one of our hotels, and I was invited to go and see it, the GUI, and see how it operated, and it worked okay. But I turned around to the vendor and I said, that's fine, now what are you going to do in 6 months' time? You know, in 6 months' time, this is all boring, give me something new. And he said, no, this is it, this is our model, we're not going to change this. This is the way it is. So I think that's a vendor in need of a refresh. We are on a treadmill and we're driven by a guest, and it won't stop, it'll continue to get worse for those that have to endure this stuff. But it's, the beauty of it is it's constantly evolving, it's always different. And it comes from not necessarily some technical boffin, but just people who look at it and say, we can do this differently, or we can think a little differently. And I've got to tell you that HTNG provides a great forum for that. We have, sorry, I'm losing my way. We've got to recognise new demands from emerging next generation travellers, the Y-Gen people, who travel with all manner of stuff and operating over their own social networks, completely abandon whatever we put in the hotel, and creating even greater challenges for the hotelier to meet those new needs and explore new revenue stream potential. For example, watch how popcornnow.com will permeate, and Sling Media will challenge our ideas about video on demand and the desire for greater bandwidth. We've got a long way to travel and challenges to endure, but meeting the objective will be very rewarding. And finally, as Ted has indicated, I'm not going away, that's too easy. I plan to remain active after leaving the peninsula, although I'll be a consultant to them, and we'll continue to focus on having fun. Thank you.